back to Hear Me Roar. I'm your host, Elizabeth Hernandez, and thank you very much for joining us today. This will be our last show for the 2017 spring semester. And today we'll be focusing on immigration, and we'll be speaking to some students here on MSU about their experiences. Stay tuned after this documentary.
My name is Corey Clark, Minority Academic Services Coordinator, and I also co-direct the Eagle Diversity Education Center. Just diversity in general is really difference, the differences amongst individuals. As it relates to Appalachia, I mean, I guess it would have a similar definition because it's just about the differences, whether it be in, socioeconomic status, race, religion, ethnicity, sexual orientation, sexual preference. It ranges in a variety. It's really the spectrum as it relates to diversity, just the spectrum, the differences. Racial diversity, it's traditionally, depending on where you are, because Appalachia is such a large region, majority of the time it's going to be predominantly white. Nowadays it's becoming a little bit more diverse than it has been in the past. And so we're starting to see those trends start to show up all across America, but really also in Appalachia. Everybody always talks about, step outside your comfort zone, but I don't really like that term because once you step out your comfort zone, you can step right back on in. And so when we say expand your comfort zone, which means you're comfortable in a lot more places. And so with the increasing diversity, having those different experiences and having those different interactions allows you to be able to challenge what you've already been, the things that you've already known, the things that you've been taught, the things that's been instilled in you through your own personal experiences.
I'm Han. I'm from Beijing, China. This is my first semester. Yeah. I think it's a free country and respects agriculture.
My name is Saleh Al-Awad. I'm a senior at Morehead State University. I was thinking about the U.S. just like what I used to see on the movies, Hollywood movies, and it all has like clubs, parties, and beaches everywhere, and, a lot of buildings, and everyone is rich and famous.
My name is Jesus Carrera, and I'm from Venezuela. Before to come to America to live, I thought Americans didn't have any kind of needs, or they were living comfortable and without worries. Once I got here, I realized that it's not that way. People struggle, people is trying to get a better life, and they do all they can to support themselves and their families. I realized you have to work hard, really hard, to have what you want to have. You gotta earn it, and that's what the American dream is. And always willing to learn and teach, because whoever is coming to a new place doesn't know the activities people around the area do, doesn't know the culture very well, so it's very important for the integration of people.
Yeah, it's more friendly, I think. Even I don't come here for stay a long time, but I think that the people is very nice. Yeah.
After spending almost 7 years in the U.S., I start realizing a lot of things, especially with the current president that we are having. America is already great, and no one needs to make it great again. If they want to make it greater, then that's amazing.
My hope for the future is whoever is living in America can unify and work for a purpose. Everybody support each other, no matter what political views or beliefs they have. We live in one nation, and we all hope the best of the future for everybody.
When you have that level of compassion for another person, I think we lack that compassion for another person, and just as a human, not just not regardless of if you're how you pray or what you look like or the things that you believe in, but just a human piece in terms of being able to look after the person next to you, and just having that simple level of humility and respect, because moving from a toleration piece where we tolerate individuals to where we actually respect individuals. And I think that that's something in terms of my hope in going to a point where we're just checking boxes or just tolerating individuals versus respecting individuals and the things that they believe in and who they are, respect them as a person and everything that comes along with that.
We have Sophie here with us today. Can you introduce yourself to our viewers?
So I'm Sophie Guti. I'm 21, and I come from France. You can hear my accent that is pretty strong.
Yeah.
And I'm studying business here, especially finance.
Okay. So what got you to come to Morehead State?
Actually, I had to do an exchange semester abroad with my school in France. And I choose the USA because I've always been appealed by the American culture. Mm-hmm. So it was an easy choice to make for me.
Right. So how was that transition of being in France? You've been in France all your life.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how was that transition moving here to the United States and being here in Kentucky?
Well, it was the first time I moved from my country. So first it was kind of hard, like you miss your family, your friends. But because the American culture is pretty close, pretty similar for me, and people are really welcoming and they try to help you all the way along. So it was really,
right.
I think I learned a lot doing this exchange semester.
Oh, that's nice. So what are some things that you've learned here at MSU?
I think what I've learned the most is that you as an immigrant, you need to go to talk to people and be less shy. And at the end, even though we don't have the same culture, we all think the same way and people will always welcome you. So being like less afraid of meeting new people.
Right.
Yeah.
So you've come out of your shell a little
Yes.
bit more here.
Mm-hmm.
That's great. And have you met, being here, other students from different cultures?
I've met lots of people that comes from China,
Uh-huh.
and also lots of people from South America, because in Europe you don't have lots of immigrants coming from South America.
Right.
And I can see that we have lots of connection pretty quickly.
Oh, that's nice.
Mm-hmm.
So what are some things that you've learned from meeting those people, and like, have you learned about their culture or language, or what's that like?
I think what I have learned is that even though we have a different culture, we live the same experience of being abroad, so we have the same feelings and we can talk about the same experience.
Right.
Yes.
And have you been other places other than MSU, like Kentucky?
Yeah, I've been traveling a lot with a friend. We've been to New Orleans. It's an amazing state, Louisiana, Colorado, Atlanta, and New York soon.
Okay.
Yeah.
And did you see that culture shock did you experience that when you went to New York City? Because over there it's more diverse, so was it different?
Mm-hmm. I feel that because the USA is a huge country, you have so much differences between the southern state and more like East Coast states, especially Louisiana. You have lots of cultural influence coming from the south.
Right.
Whereas in Eastern Kentucky, you have like also a specific culture.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's neat.
Mm.
Well, thank you so much for sharing. We'll be right back with you, and we will be coming back after this commercial.
Hello, I'm Eric Thomas, Director of the Star Theater here at Morehead State University. and I'd like to invite you to come out and join us for some of the great programs we offer in the Star Theater. Our programs are both educational, with planetarium programs, and entertaining, with laser shows that feature artists such as Elton John all the way out to Metallica. So come join us at the Star Theater, located in the Space Science Center here on the campus of Morehead State University. And if you've got questions, go online to moreheadstate.edu/startheater.
Welcome back. We're back with Sophie. So Sophie, being from France and coming here, politics have been a really big deal.
Yes.
This semester that you've been here. So how has that? What are your thoughts on that? Like, how was that?
Well, coming from Europe first, I had not lots of fear, but especially as an immigrant, you cannot know with the politics how it's gonna happen. But when you talk about politics in America, people are really open-minded about it.
Yes.
And you have several opinions, which is really interesting to discover.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So how has that been? How is it like in France?
Well, we have a presidential election going on, and we will discover, elect our new president in 1 week.
Okay.
So it's a huge change in France too.
Right.
Yeah.
So what are some of the thoughts you have? Have you been staying in touch with like Trump and his presidency, and how is that different from maybe past presidents that you guys have had?
I think that Trump is really a personality that stands out from other political men.
Right.
And especially in Europe, we were afraid of this new change.
Yes.
But actually, yes, there are issues about it, especially with immigrants' rights. But people are fighting for it, so I think there is still hope.
That's really good. And what are some things that your experience here as an immigrant, and just being able to live this adventure to come to MSU, how has that shaped you into the person you are now?
I think that when you leave your country, you become more aware of your own culture, and you see slight differences that you wouldn't see if you would have stayed in your country.
Right.
And also you value more your culture that you miss also.
Oh, right. What are some things that, what are some differences that you've noticed?
Something that I've noticed is that in the United States, people are more outgoing, whereas in France, we are more not shy but reserved, and people will not come and talk to you more easy than in the USA.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's really neat.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for coming on the show and
You're
speaking about
welcome.
this. It was really great. We are going to a segment produced by one of our producers here, and we'll be right back.
Hello, my name is Parisa Shamwezadeh. I am a coordinator for the Iranian Student Association at the University of Kentucky. I was born in Paintsville, Kentucky, which is in Appalachia. My father was an immigrant from Iran. He arrived to Kentucky in 1979 following the Iranian Revolution. My mother is from Louisa, Kentucky, which is also located in the Appalachian region. My definition of the American dream, personally for me, is to come here and have any goal in mind and be able to attain it without any difficulty. In some countries, you are held back by certain things, but here, there's nothing holding you back. If you want something, you can definitely achieve it. My word to describe America's dream is success. And as a personal anecdote to that, my father came here and his goal was to be like his teachers in Iran, who were American and British professors. And they were some of the smartest people he's ever known. And he came here with his success in mind. And he attained his success through his residency of working under some prestigious doctors here in the United States. And success is one thing that I strive for myself, and to be in this country, to have so much freedom to attain that success is very important to me. The most positive experience, I think personally, is for myself is that I can go to Iran and come back to America and share my experiences with people who wouldn't know an Iranian person otherwise, because a lot of people in Appalachia don't meet a Muslim person or an Iranian person or per se a Middle Eastern person, and to be able to go to that country and come back and share the good things about it is a very positive experience to me. It's like I'm a messenger or a gateway for people to not feel hatred or ignorance towards those types of people. So as a coordinator for the Iranian Student Association, one of our main goals is to spread the amazing parts of our culture to people of the Lexington area and at the University of Kentucky. When we bring people together in the community to celebrate these things, we remember the things that we are bound by and the traditions that we all share despite of our walk of life, what we do, whether we're half Iranian, full Iranian, or grandparents are Iranian. We are all bound by these very amazing traditions, and our culture is very, very historic, and to be able to share that with other people and to share what binds us together is a privilege as a coordinator.
I'm Madison Ortega, and I am a freshman at Round County Senior High School, and yeah, I am part Mexican. When I think of the American dream, I think of opportunity, an opportunity to get an education, an opportunity to live out your dreams, to strive for whatever it is that your passion is. You know, I think of you being able to have the chance to work towards that and reach that goal, whatever it may be for you. I think that aligns for people who, the people who are born here, the people we think of who have, privilege. But for some people, like, for an example, immigrants, I don't think that they necessarily always have the same. I don't think that American dream always goes with it. I do know that when he moved to the United States and he went to school, there was a lot of he received a lot of racism from the kids in his school, and it was called Dirty Mexican because his first language was Spanish, not English. And so when he had kids, like my dad, he didn't want Spanish to be their first language because he didn't want them to grow up with the same, remarks that he received when he was in school. And so, since my dad didn't really learn Spanish, I didn't either. So I haven't really grown up with a whole lot of culture, but through Twitter and stuff, and I've known that I do have that background of Mexican culture, and so through Twitter and through social media, I've gotten to learn a lot about that and just see some of the things that make me proud to be an Ortega. And so that's really cool. I think the power of social media. So because I don't really show as Mexican, I can't really speak as a person of color, I guess, but I don't really have the same experience as someone who is noticeably a person of color, but I do know when I speak on issues of people of color, or if I do speak of my culture, I guess from speaking out on it, I've received a lot of pushback from my peers. We don't necessarily have to agree with everyone because we're not going to agree with everyone's views. It's just not going to happen. But if we can learn to respect each other's views and tolerate each other's views, then I think that'll be a big step in the right direction.
Welcome back. We are here with Lynn, our producer.
Hello.
Thank you for joining us.
No problem.
So, can you introduce our viewers about you?
Yeah, of course. My name is Lynn, and I am currently a second-year student, double majoring in math and art. And like you said earlier, I'm the producer for Hear Me Roar.
Okay. So we're talking about immigration, and you recently went to DC.
Right. It was actually last week, and that was a really wonderful experience. Me and my coworker got accepted to a program at Washington, D.C., and it's called Poster on the Hill, and it's sponsored by the Undergrad Research Council. And we're there talking to congressional members and people there about the importance of undergrad research in public universities while we fight for funding. And especially to us, it's very important since our research is so arts and humanity based that we fight for fundings for those two categories that we typically don't get that much funding for.
Okay, and how is it like speaking to congressional members?
It was very nerve-wracking. It was our first time actually being in the Senate House, so we got an appointment with the legislative correspondent in one of the Senate House, and then we talked to her, and it went very well. We spoke about our research and how this experience specifically made us better people. We were able to gain communicational skills and just reach out to different groups of people and fight for what we believe is right. And she was sitting there taking notes of the whole thing, and that was very great for us.
That's really amazing. It's not every day that you get to do
Right,
that.
yeah, definitely.
So why is it so important to do this undergrad research?
For us and for me especially, I think since English is my third language, I feel like this is a great opportunity for me to step outside of my comfort zone and talk to people I normally wouldn't. For this job specifically as a producer, we have to go out, like film different events and like just talk to people and build that connection, which is obviously a very important life skills to have. And then for this show, since we talk about issue that's important to both women and minorities, I feel like that's very important issues that most people our age might not take as seriously as we do, and I think it's important just to spread the message to everyone.
How was it just being able to get to experience that?
Overall, it has been amazing. Definitely, we have also went to several other conferences, and we were able to talk to so many different people who come from like all different walks of life, and we're able to speak with them about what we're passionate about, and I think that's like the beauty of all of it.
Right. And why did you and your partner choose and sit down exactly what you guys were going to talk about for the undergrad research?
So when we met with our congressional member, we had an advocacy training the night before at the American Chemical Society where they like told us kind of like what to say and what not to say and how to present ourselves. So we went back to the hotel and sat down and like just like kind of wrote up a little script, but we did not want it to be like too scripted, so we just like went there and then talked just as naturally as we could. So I think that was like the best way to do it.
That's really fun. Well, right now we're gonna go check out a video you did on DC. So enjoy. Lynn is back joining us. That was a really great video.
Thank you.
And you did a lot over there.
Hi.
So what was your favorite experience going to DC?
We definitely did a lot. We hit 4 museums and then did a bunch of other stuff all in one day. But I think one thing that really stuck to me was when I was on Capitol Hill during our poster presentation. We're in the Rayburn House of Representative House, and where we all set up our poster. So prior to the actual session, I was able to walk around and like talk to everyone who was also there. And we're the only one from Kentucky, so that was really cool to like talk to everyone.
Okay.
And I ran into this guy who goes to school in Massachusetts, and so I asked him about his research naturally, and he told me about his research, which he actually wrote a book on his immigrant story, which I thought was very fascinating. He was originally from Guatemala, and he came to America in 2008, where he took a bus from Guatemala to the Mexico and Texas border, and then from there he walked for 5 days. Eventually he was caught, unfortunately, with an immigration police officer, and he was thrown into detention for 4 months. But then luckily he was adopted by someone from Massachusetts. That's why he went up there for high school and college. And what really stuck to me is after all these years, his family finally got their visa approved, and now they're going to come to America and see him graduate college. So when he was telling me that story, it really got to me, as also because I also told him that I'm also not an immigrant. Of course, my story is very different from his as a documented immigrant, but when I told him that, like, I can see him just being very relieved that somebody else is also fighting for the same cause. And then I told him about our research and like what we do, and he was very interested. And that definitely just reminded me of the reasons we do what we do and the reasons we fight for what we believe is right. And to kind of tie back into the show that we have about immigrant rights, I think it's very important just to like talk to people, and then because everybody has a story to share, because it's not like normal, you're just going to talk about your life story. But if you know those things, like for me personally, it's just very inspirational for me to hear. And for us to kind of be there for each other, even though like we just met kind of thing. And then it's just a very deep connection that was able to be formed.
That's really good. Well, thank you for speaking up about this issue. And thank you at home for watching. This is our last show of the semester. And we're going to end with a video produced by you and Catherine. So enjoy. I'm your host, Elizabeth Hernandez, and this is Hear Me Roar.
Our differences unite us when we choose to sing as one. Let's tear down these walls between us and join in harmony. This land was made for you and me.
This land is your land, this land is my land. From California to the New York Islands, from the Redwood Forest to the Gulf Stream waters. This land was made for you and me. This land is your
One song, many voices. Our differences unite us when we choose to sing as one. Let's tear down these walls between us and join in harmony. This land was made for you and me.